What have you got for us? Let's start with Tottenham. News there.
Yeah, good morning, Jim. Good morning, Simon. We are at the frantic stage now, I think, of this transfer window. Certainly, I've barely been able to put my phone down all morning. Stuff happening, information coming to me all of the time. Tottenham, we know they want Pedro Porro. He's been their top target this window. The right wing-back that Antonio Conte believes could be their missing link. Looks like that is getting closer. In fact, I've been told this morning the delay in this deal is not necessarily because Tottenham are trying to underpay for the player. We know he has a release clause of around about £40 million. I think it's more the structure of how that release clause may be met, and it's Sporting Lisbon digging their heels in. But I think Tottenham are pushing now, and I think this signing will happen. That will be two in a few days for Spurs. Obviously, Arnaut Danjuma completed that shock move from Villarreal yesterday, and there could still, I'm told, be one more addition between now and the end of the window. So Tottenham certainly trying to back their manager as Conte wants.
As Conte wants, Alex is right. Is that the ambition that Conte wants to see from his board?
I don't know. I was going to ask Alex, what does that tell you? Does it tell you that Conte is someone worth backing because he's going to be here for a period of time, or is it just a moment in time?
I think they have to back him, don't they? You know, when you appoint a manager like Antonio Conte, he's going to be demanding, he's going to be volatile, he's going to be combustible. So none of this should be a surprise.
But he's going to be off, according to Italian press, isn't he?
Well, that sort of story was floating around. Then the journalist who wrote it sort of backtracked a little bit. I think there's games at play here. Antonio Conte is publicly almost imploring Daniel Levy to back him in the transfer market. I still can't say with any great certainty that he will definitely be the Tottenham manager this time next year, but I don't think it's a certainty that he'll be off either.
So Southampton hope to turn it around against Newcastle in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. They're doing business, Alex, this lunchtime.
They are, and this looks, listen, this is not inspiring business on the face of it, but it could be a sensible piece of business because it's a player that Nathan Jones, the manager, knows well from Luton, not the first manager to go back and raid one of his former clubs. The right back, James Bree, is having a medical today. He's a very physical fullback. Nathan knows his mentality, knows how to get the best out of him. He's out of contract in the summer, so the fee is nominal. It'd be £750,000 with add-ons. And they've got problems, Southampton, on the right-hand side of the fence because Tino Livramento, who's a tremendous young player, he's been besieged by injuries. And I know there's a concern at Southampton that he may not be able to play again this season. So it's sensible to bring in some cover.
Sensible? Kind of sensible money as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I worry for Southampton, don't you, though, Alex? I mean, if you're going into the transfer market and you're spending $750,000 in a January window and you're sitting bottom of the league, I'm not sure it sends a message out to anybody, does it?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and I know the fans are starting now to have concerns about the way the club is shaping and the direction they're being taken by the Sport Republic group. I think their survival hopes hinge on if they can get a centre forward in the next 5 or 6 days. I was at the game Tuesday night, didn't play badly against Newcastle, lost it 1-0. Shea Adams had a huge chance at 0-0 to put Southampton in front, and he missed it because, to be honest, Shea Adams, Adam Armstrong, they miss more chances than they score, and that's the problem for Southampton. It was a problem that Ralph Hasenhüttl identified in the summer. It's a problem that ended up getting him the sack because they signed loads of good young players in that window. They didn't deliver a number 9. If they don't deliver a number 9 this window, I think they're going down.
What are Brighton going to deliver? I read this morning they're interested in Oxlade-Chamberlain at Liverpool, but that's by the by. In advanced talks, we hear with Shakhtar Donetsk over a player.
Yeah, the Oxlade-Chamberlain links have been dismissed at my end, Jim. I don't think that's a deal that is going to happen. I think it's sad, isn't it, when you look at Oxlade-Chamberlain's career at Liverpool. Again, he's been hit by injury. I think he's out of contract at the end of the season. I think he will leave. They've also been linked with Haidara, a midfielder. I'm told that one isn't the case either. And you look at it, obviously, every time they get linked with a midfielder, you fear the worst because obviously that could have implications when it comes to Moises Caicedo. But you're right, they're looking at a Shakhtar Donetsk defender, again, a manager going back to his old club in De Zerbi. And this is a deal that they hope to get done. They're in advanced negotiations. It's Mykola Matvienko, a full Ukrainian international. I think at the moment there's a bit of a discrepancy in terms of the fee, what Brighton want to pay and the price tag. But if they are going to do any business in terms of incomings this window, then this is the one to keep a close eye on.
Okay, but Brighton going along very nicely at this time. Premier League interest in a Bristol City striker, is that right?
Yeah, we spoke, I think, briefly yesterday. Anton Semenyo, a player who's been linked with a lot of clubs in this window, Bournemouth amongst them. They're keen to get this deal done. They've had 2 bids rejected. They're still very much at the table. So are Crystal Palace. And it looks like a straight shootout this lunchtime between Bournemouth and Palace. Semenyo wants to make the move to the Premier League. And I think we could see this one develop even in the next couple of hours by way of a fee being agreed with one, if not both of those clubs, and then him hot-footing it for a medical. So Semenyo, I think, will be on the move. Will it be Palace? Will it be Bournemouth? We should know soon enough.
Okay, you gave us an update. You mentioned Moises Cabello, did you not? Do you think he's at Brighton long-term? One or two Brighton fans asking me to ask you.
I think he will be. The vibe I'm getting out of Brighton is they don't really want to lose any more players this window. I know that overnight, Tariq Lamptey, who's not played much football actually this season, was linked with Sporting Lisbon. I think they want to try and keep him in the building if they can as well. Caicedo is going to take big money, 75, 80 million pounds. Chelsea have made inquiries, but they were willing to pay a lot less than that, which is odd, considering that Paul Winstanley and Graham Potter, head of recruitment and manager, know exactly how Tony Bloom does business. So the fact they've tried to go in and almost lowball for Caicedo seems a strange way of doing business. Arsenal keeping tabs as well, we're told. I think he'll stay this window. And he may even stay in the summer. I don't think Brighton are desperate to push him out the door. I don't think he's desperate to leave. He could be a Europa League player with Brighton next season.
One of the ones that you could regard as a hot topic would be Anthony Gordon then to Newcastle. Is this going to get done?
I'm not sure, Jim. I don't know what information you're getting out of Everton this morning, but at the moment, I think the fee is a problem. And Simon summed it up nicely. I think he said £60 million for Anthony Gordon is ridiculous. You look at his numbers, there's not a £60 million player there. Sometimes players get their head turned. I think in this case, Everton have had their head turned by what Chelsea was supposedly willing to pay last summer. Newcastle won't pay £60 million. So unless that fee comes down dramatically, I would say the chances of Gordon joining Eddie Howe at St James's Park, more unlikely than likely this lunchtime.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.